everyone, it's Agnes and welcome to your final day of the Self-Love and Specific Person course. Well done for making it to the end. And now, today, I will share the final part of my story and I will share some more resources for you, things that I use to attract my specific person and to have a peaceful, loving, and easier relationship. So, following on from where I was, I talked to you about my relationships until the one where the person said to me "from" in the card, and then we split up not long after that because I realized, I had attracted someone who didn't really love me. And although I liked them a lot as a person, I don't think we were really that well suited. But we separated reasonably amicably, and then I had a period of time off. And I did have time off in between these relationships. I don't think I actually specified that when I was sharing my story with you yesterday. But I did take months off, years off in between certain relationships, working on myself, really listening a lot to Neville Goddard, whom I share with you a lot on the channel, and I will be sharing more of that as time goes by, and also doing a lot of reading and a lot of soul searching. So, the final relationship before the one I have now, I was with someone for about 5 years. And we met out dancing, had a lovely time, really connected, on that plane because I love to dance. And, that's been a really big part of my life, dancing and interior decorating and designing for shops and things like that. And I met him while we were out. So it ended up that we met and we connected straight away, and we would go out dancing a lot, and he would sit for hours just staring at me. And I knew he really did love me. I could feel it. I just felt connected to him. I felt loved, and I knew that we had a lot in common. Although he was extremely quiet and I was more of an extrovert in those days, we still got on really, really well. So the relationship progressed, and then one day he found a diary of what I had written, and I had written down stuff about my past relationships. And from that day, he never actually told me that he read it until much, much later, but he carried that. I had gone out to work, he had been sleeping, and I had a pile of magazines, and I had this notebook shoved in there. He read all this stuff, and it affected him so badly that he never got over it. Now, as we know, everyone is me pushed out, so I attracted someone that then turned into revenge mode, quiet revenge, because they didn't tell me for quite a long time, and I didn't understand why they were treating me this way. But really, if we understand everyone is us pushed out, I was again attracting someone who was not respectful, someone who was just consumed with their own thing about what they thought about me, and then it proceeded to dismantle over time the relationship because of what they thought of me, but also because really when you look at it, what I thought about myself, that I wasn't lovable, that I wasn't good enough, that I was second best, and that I was not deserving or worthy. And so they ended up, and I've shared a little bit about this before, they ended up because of family pressure and also because of, obviously, my thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about the family pressure. If I'd known to revise that at the time and put some more effort into that, then it could have turned around. But at that time, I was consumed with pain and feeling like I was being abandoned and I was being left and I couldn't breathe and I couldn't sleep and I couldn't eat again. So it ended up that the relationship was struggling because he was still hanging on to this, and also because I wouldn't join his religion. And I had thoughts that his family would interfere and that his family would have the final say and that he would then eventually leave me. And that's exactly what happened, because that's what I created. Now, that person I had a good relationship with and I felt loved by, and I loved him also. But what happened was the stuff between us was about still fear of loss, fear of some other woman. And what happened was his high school sweetheart, his family, his dad said, you need to marry her. And he told me he was going on holidays to the US and he would be back. And yes, he did come back. But while he was there and I was in Australia, I got an email to say he'd got married and that he had got his wife pregnant. And I was like, what? We were together before you left. What the heck? So that was a big slap in the I'm second best face. And it just really emphasized how much I felt second best, how I didn't feel first best, and how I was still struggling with my self-love. Now, in those days, I didn't really put in hours worth of work into meditation and feeling self-love and saying I love myself, like from the Kamal book, Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. Didn't do any of that. So I was kind of like a puppet on a string, feeling unloved, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. He picked her over me. You're a loser. What's wrong with you? And I was the wrong color because he, married someone of his own race and kind. So I felt like I'm too old. I'm a divorcee, which he looked down on. And also I'm white. So there were a lot of things going against me, according to me, at that time. And I decided to beat myself up with it rather than working on my self-esteem, especially for those first few months. So then I just completely let everything go for quite some time, apart from working on my self-love and working on my self-esteem and working on my I am loved. And then I met my current specific person, and that was a while later. And we were living in different countries, and it ended up that we continued to communicate a lot as friends, getting to know each other, and I really got to really love him and connect with him. And it got to a period of time where I came to London and I saw him. And I really enjoyed him, and I just knew that, this person's really special and I'd really like to be with them. But I was still quite needy in those days and still a bit of a raw pink nerve around the last relationship. And I decided to continue the friendship. And then we went through periods of things being quite challenging. And I can see why when I look back, because I was emotionally not peaceful. I was emotionally distressed. I was emotionally feeling like a raw pink nerve where I just felt that anything that he said to me, I would take the wrong way. I would get offended by. I was always looking for, where is this going, this relationship? And I can see now that I needed to relax. I needed to stop trying to get, and I talk about that on the channel, getting versus giving. And I was a big case of getting at that point. And he was very patient with me, but eventually he got sick of it, like most people do. So it ended up that there was a time where we just were not getting on at all, and it was like maybe we shouldn't even be friends anymore. And my emotional state was really impacting the relationship in a negative way. So I started doing a lot of self-love. I did the Louise Hay ones because Louise Hay is really the godmother of self-love. And I will put the links below to Louise Hay's meditations and things for you to use, the ones that I used to help myself. And I read a lot of books, and I just tried to get myself back into a good space because I was really struggling with myself. And now, life is good. I've unhooked myself from working a job where I can't see my partner. We don't argue and have difficulties anymore because I am in a more emotionally secure place. I'm not looking to get anymore. I look to see what I can give. I look to see how I can maintain my own self in terms of maintaining my self-love. And if that means doing 2 meditations a day, which I do morning and night, and if I don't have time in the morning because I've got clients, well, then I do it at lunchtime. I take a break, I shut the computer, and I go and lay down and I do my meditation. Excuse me. So it is really a lifetime's practice of just continuing to be the best that I can be, continuing to just the self-love and remembering everyone is me pushed out. So when something's in front of me that's not to my liking, it's to say, what am I thinking, feeling, and believing that this thing is here in front of me right now? And that includes my partner, that includes my work, that includes, you know, anyone in the street, it includes anything. I try to ask that question to myself all the time. What have I got going on that this is in front of me right now? So today, you know, I've had many third parties to deal with, and someone asked me, you know, you've never really talked much about the third parties in your life, and I think, well, no, I did just decide not to talk about that. But yes, I did attract third parties, and what I did was I didn't talk about it, didn't focus on it, and I would withdraw my attention from it, and I would focus on my self-love, because I knew talking about it and reinfecting myself with it over and over and over was going to create more of it. If there's a third party involved, what needed to be worked on in me was I'm a priority and I'm first best and I'm secure and I'm loved and I'm wanted, I'm deserving and I'm worthy. I'm the priority. I'm first best. It's getting that within yourself, and that's what I had to work on. And I still work on those things today for maintenance. It's really important to keep it up. So everybody, that brings us to a close of the 15-day course. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it for you, and I do hope that you will continue to do some of the reading and listen to some of the YouTubes that have really helped me along the way, and just continue to learn and grow and to become more free mentally and emotionally. Because as you change your mental state, then your emotional state changes. As your emotional state changes, that then is what goes out and affects and influences your relationship with your specific person, okay? You're no longer a burden to them. You're no longer trying to take, because people do not want to be around that. Make sure you take responsibility for that part of you. It is my responsibility to love me. I do not have the right to suck love out of people, okay? It's okay when you're a kid, but not when you're an adult. All right, lots of love, and may I receive some wonderful stories from you to say that you've manifested what you want, and a big heartfelt love to you for watching the YouTubes on my channel and for sharing them. I've seen that, you know, when I get my little notification thing from Google and YouTube saying how many of you have actually shared this stuff. So I think if it gives other people relief as it has for me, then we do have a responsibility, maybe not that strong of a sentence, but if we can ease someone else's suffering, it makes sense to do so. So lots of love and big hugs to you, and enjoy a new, relaxed, peaceful, surrendered, self-loving peace of mind, and may it go forth and create that which you desire. Lots of love.